Hi everyone. So today we are going to have a look on what is demand theory. In economics, the demand is a wider concept actually. So we have to learn how the demand theory influences the pricing of a commodity and how the price is determined using the demand theory. So let's have a look on what is demand theory. So demand is actually meant by this is a desire backed of the ability or the willingness to pay for a commodity. So in demand, the two terms actually very important. The first term is the desire of the consumer. A consumer should have a strong desire for a commodity and also the desire should back by a ability to pay. Sometimes the people will have the desire for a particular commodity, they may not have the price to purchase that. So, in case of demand, both the desire and the willingness to pay should be backed up together. So, the meaning of demand is an economic term that refers to the amount of products or services that a consumer wishes to purchase at a given price level. The mere desire of a consumer for a product is not demand. A demand includes the purchasing power of the consumer to acquire a given product at a given period. So it is really important that the consumer should have a desire and the purchasing power of a commodity or the purchasing power of the consumer is very important in determining the demand for a product. And we will have a look on the what is the definition of the demand, and it is given by the Professor Higdon, and its definition defines demand as a means the various quantities of goods that would be purchased per time period at different prices in a given market. So how much products or how much quantity of goods that a consumer is willing to buy at a particular time will decide the demand for a commodity. So it is a broad area. In economics, it is a broad area, and the concepts of demand and the determinants of demand and the factors affecting the demand. It is a really important area in the case of a economics perspective. Next comes to constitute demand for the product, the following three conditions to be fulfilled. In order to constitute a demand for a commodity, the following three conditions should be satisfied. The first one is there should be a desire to acquire the product. I've already mentioned you that we should have a desire for a product. If I want a chair or I want a vehicle, then I should have a desire for purchasing that particular commodity. Next is the person desirous of acquiring the product should have the ability to pay for that. I've already mentioned you that sometimes the people will have the strong desire to purchase for a particular commodity, but they don't will have money for that. So in case of that it is not a demand. The demand should be always backed up by a ability to pay for a commodity, and the person should also have the willingness to pay for the commodity. This is another important factor: willingness to pay. This consumer should be willing to pay for purchasing the commodity. So, in a nutshell, we can conclude that the three conditions for a demand, the first one is the desire to acquire the product, and the second one is the ability to pay for the commodity, and the third one is that willingness to pay for the commodity. The next comes the law of demand. It is really important to study what is the law of demand or how the demand will affect the price of the commodity or how the demand is determining while considering the price of the commodity. In law of demand, we are explaining the law with the use of the or using the price, we are explaining the law of demand. The law of demand explains that other things being equal, when price increases, the demand for the commodity decreases, and the price decreases, the demand for the commodity increases. So the law of demand states that there is a negative or an inverse relationship between the price and demand for a commodity. The price of a good and the quantity demand is negatively or inversely related, holding other factors constant. The quantity demanded is the amount of goods or service consumers are prepared to buy at a given price, holding other factors constant. Here, the other factors refers to the factors other than price. Some other factors which cause in a decrease or increase in demand is the income of the consumer, or the taste and preference of the consumer, and the price of the related goods. These are the other some factors which influence the demand for a commodity. So these other factors remain constant. When the price increases, the demand decreases, and vice versa. This is specifically known as the law of demand. And next comes the assumptions for the law of demand. What all are the assumptions to be kept in determining the law of demand? The first one is the income should be constant. We have already mentioned that the other factors like income, the price of related goods, the price of substitute goods, they should be kept as constant. And next is the taste, habits, and preference of buyer not change. This item that is taste, preference and the habits of the consumer is also kept as fixed. There should not be any change in the related goods. The price of the related goods is another factor which causes in the change in the demand. So these factors should be also kept as fixed. There should not be any change in the number of buyers. As number of buyer increases, the demand will obviously increases. So we have to make sure that the number of buyer is also constant in explaining the law of demand. And finally, the buyer should not anticipate any shortage in the supply of the commodity. If the buyer is automatically anticipating if any shortage for the commodity, then the demand for that particular commodity will be obviously increased. So the buyer should not anticipate any shortage in the supply of the commodity. These are the general assumptions regarding the law of demand. And now we are going to analyze the reasons for the law of demand. What are the reasons which cause the increase in demand, or what are the reasons which cause the decrease in demand? The first one is the income effect. Income effect, which is perceived from the part of a consumer. So, whenever there is a fall in price, the consumer needs to pay less for the same quantity of goods and he was purchasing before. This will increase in the purchasing power and will have an increasing effect on his income in real terms. As the price of the commodity decreases, the consumer can buy more of that commodity. So, with his income, when the price decreases, he can purchase more of that commodity. So, the demand for that commodity obviously will increase. So, income effect has a relatively important role in determining the demand of a commodity. And next is the substitution effect. And the substitution effect is mainly applicable for substitute goods like coffee and tea, and pen and pencil, like petrol and diesel. These are the substitute goods. So, in case of substitute goods, when the price of one product increases, obviously the demand for the other product increases. If the price of the coffee increases, the consumer will definitely go for tea. So, this is a case of substitution effect. As the price of one good increases, the demand for the other substitute will increase. Next is the law of diminishing marginal utility. As the marginal utility derived from the consumption of more and units of the same commodity goes on diminishing, a consumer will be ready to buy more of it, only it's available at the lower prices. In anticipation of the lower prices, the consumer will definitely buy the goods when the prices are lower. So the demand will increase when in case of a lower prices or when the products are available at cheaper rates, the demand for the commodity will increase. And next is the change in the number of buyers. Falling prices will attract new buyers, which result in the high demand for the commodity. If there is a fall in price, then the more consumers will shift to that particular product. If A, B, and C is there, if A, B, and C are three products, and B will decrease the price, and obviously the consumer will shift to the product B. So, as a decrease in price, more consumer will be attracted towards that product, and this will result in the increase in the demand for a particular product. And next comes the demand determinants. This is a really important topic. What all are the factors or determinants affecting the demand for a particular product? The first comes is price on own products. This is what we have already detailedly explained in the law of demand. This is really equal to the price of own product is equal to the law of demand. That is, other things being equal or other factors being equal or other factors being constant. When the price increases, the demand for the commodity decreases. And in, for example, in case of gold also, people will buy more gold whenever the price of the gold is less. And when the price of the gold increases, the people will only purchase a minimum amount of that. So, whenever the price of one good increases, the demand for the same decreases, and vice versa. Next is the consumer's income. The consumer's income is another factor determining the demand. Whenever the consumer have a high income, he will demand more products, or demand from his end will be more in case of his higher income. And if the income of the consumer will be, the demand for the consumer will be less in case of his lower income. Next is the price of related goods. Related goods, we have already the substitution part. The related goods can be classified into substitute goods and complementary goods. Substitute goods are like tea or coffee or maybe pen or pencil. They are like the substitute goods, and the complementary goods are, they should go on each other. That is pen and ink and lock and key. They are known as the complementary goods. So in the case of substitute goods, we have already discussed that the price of one good increases, the demand for the other good increases. So in case of complementary goods, when the price of one good increases, the demand for other good decreases. Because have already told that the examples of complementary good are pen and ink. So whenever the price of ink increases, the price of pen will also increases. So price of one good increases, the demand for the other good will decrease in case of complementary goods. And next is the amount spent on advertisement. So the producers or the company will incur so many advertisement and promotional expenses in order to attract the buyers. So whenever they are spending more amount, when the celebrity endorsement or more amount of are spending over the advertisements, more consumer will be attracted to buy the product, and the demand for the particular product will increase. So whenever there is an increase in the amount of advertisement, more consumers are attracted towards the product, and it will cause in the increase in demand. And next is the consumer preference. The consumer preference or the taste and habits of the consumer will have a strong impact on the demand determination. And next is the consumer expectation. The consumer will predict what will happen to the next future. Maybe they'll think that the price of the particular commodity will be low in the next 3 years or next 4 years, it will be low. Then the consumer will shift this purchasing decision to the next 3 years. So the consumer expectation is also another factor determining the demand for a commodity. And next is the money supply. Money supply is majorly, it is a part of a central government or central bank's policy is actually money supply. Whenever there is a depression, the central bank will increase the money supply, and in case of a boom period, the central bank will reduce the money supply. So whenever there is a money supply, the consumers are getting more amount in their hands, and their demand decision will have an impact on the purchasing decision. So whenever there is a money supply in the economy, the consumer will get more amount, and the demand for the product will increases. But in the case of a depression or in the case of a recession period, they don't have that much purchasing power or demand decisions. Next is a taxation policy. Some goods are subject to taxation policy, and when the taxation policy from the part of the government increases, the consumer will not be willing to buy that commodity for a more amount, because of the taxation policy, they'll purchase the less of that commodity. And next is the seasonal goods. This is another area which deals with the seasonal goods. Some goods like umbrella and ice creams and sweaters, they all are like seasonal goods, but we don't require these goods throughout the year. Especially umbrella and all, we are using them in a rainy season or in June, July season, we are using such products. So whenever that product is demand increases or the season is demanding, the demand for the product will increases. So these are the various demand determinants. The first one is the price of on product, consumer's income, price of related goods, amount spent on advertisement, consumer preference, consumer expectation, money supply, taxation policy, and seasonal goods. And next is the demand curve. Demand curve should be explained from the perspective of the law of demand. The law of demand is graphically represented through the demand curve. So the law of demand, we know that in law of demand, we are explaining the relationship between the price and quantity. So similarly, this is a graphical representation. So how the quantity and the price will reflect each other when they are changing. So we'll have a look on the demand curve. This is actually a simple representation of the demand curve. So in the x-axis, we are representing the quantity demanded, and the y-axis, we are representing the price of the commodity. And we have seen that the demand curve is sloping downwards, or it is a negatively sloping one. This is because of the reason that there exists a inverse relationship between the price and quantity. So if the price and demand have an inverse relationship, this results in the negative sloping for the demand curve. See, when price increases, suppose if the price is 50, then the consumer will buy only the 2 kilograms of this commodity. And whenever the price is decreasing, see here the price is, suppose here the price is 10, then the consumer is willing to buy 60 kilogram of this commodity. So whenever the price increases, the demand decreases. When the price increases, the demand will decrease, and the price decreases, the demand is increasing. This is the graphical representation of the law of demand, and it is really simple to understand and easy to draw also. So this is all about the demand theory and determinants of demand and the demand curve. I hope that you all understood that. That's all about the topic. Thank you.